This is The Civil Fleet, the podcast focused on activist-led refugee rescue and support missions across Fortress Europe, with me, Ben Coles. In this episode, we are going to speak with Aleksandra from Grupa Granica, which is a refugee support coalition group working at the Poland and Belarus border, and Ola, a member of Szpila, an anti-repression feminist collective based in Warsaw. They are going to tell us about the trial of a man called Bartek, who in October 2024 provided humanitarian assistance to a Somali man who crossed the border and wanted to apply for asylum in Poland. However, the border guards pushed the Somali man back to Belarus without lodging his asylum application. And when Bartek told the border guards that he would file a complaint against them and inform the media of their actions, they accused him of, quote, trying to influence the official duties of the border guard, and even threatening them. The court is expected to give its final verdict in the case on September 26, 2025, which is right around the time that this episode is going to be published. So we'll try to get an update for you on Bartek's case as soon as we can. Keep an eye on the Civil Fleet's blog, maybe on the podcast too. So Ola and Aleksandra are also going to tell us about the situation at Poland's border with Belarus for people on the move. And they're also going to tell us how the government has suspended the right to claim asylum for anyone who crosses over the border from Belarus. Okay, before we get into today's episode, I'd like to remind you that the Civil Fleet is not just a podcast, it's also a news blog where you can find interviews, news report, investigative stories and more. So go to civilfleet.com and you can see it all there. Also, if you like what the Civil Fleet is doing and you would like to help us to continue to platform the amazing people that we have had on this podcast, then you can do so by donating a few pounds, dollars, euros, whatever you've got. Go to ko-fi.com/civilfleet and you can sign up there for a small donation or a monthly donation and you'll get access to a bonus episode that we have on there too. Our costs are super low, but any help you can give us is really appreciated. So that's ko-fi.com/civilfleet. All right, that's enough from me. Let's get on with the show. Ola and Aleksandra, thank you very much for coming on the Civil Fleet podcast.
Thank you for inviting us.
Yes, hello everyone. It's really nice to be here.
Okay, so you're all both from two different groups in Poland, from Grupa Granica and Szpila, which hopefully I'm saying correctly. Like at the beginning, I like to ask people to tell us a little bit about themselves. So maybe Ola, could you tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got involved in this kind of, this migrant rights, refugee rights, people on the move, all this kind of stuff? How did you get involved?
It's a long and not really long story, to be honest. I'm a member of Szpila collective, which is anti-repression feminist group based in Warsaw, Poland. And Szpila started in 2020 with the wave of repression against LGBT community. It was just before presidential election in Poland, and the scale of repression and violence against LGBT community was huge. And then we started, and our first big action to provide legal help was on August 7. We call it till now the Rainbow Night, when police arrested 48 people in Warsaw using a huge violence against them. And the collective was not really supposed to stay longer, but just a few months later there was attempt of our government to ban the abortion right, and there was huge women's strike in Poland, which took several months. And that time our collective decided, okay, we need to provide the legal help and psychological help for all those people, and there were hundreds of people arrested on the streets. So that's how Szpila started, as a kind of collective based in Warsaw. But when the crisis on Polish-Belarusian border started in 2021, some people from the border contacted us asking, okay, you already know how to organize anti-repression structures, so if you would like to be interested in setting this kind of structure on the border, it would be awesome. And for us, it was really obvious that we need to be involved. So we are active on the border since the very beginning. And we also started cooperation with Helsinki Foundation for Human Rights. So now we create this anti-repression group together. And our aim is simply to provide legal help for anyone who is facing state repression because of their political involvement and providing humanitarian aid on the border.
Well, that's really interesting. I think we could do a whole podcast about all of that stuff. It's a shame to not talk about it. Yeah, that's really interesting, Ola. Thanks for telling us about that. And Aleksandra, could you tell us, how did you get involved in this, and maybe a bit about Grupa Granica?
Yeah, of course. So I've been working for the Association for Legal Intervention for my whole professional life, which is almost 20 years now. And it's one of the Polish civil society organizations supporting migrants and refugees in Poland. I am not a lawyer. I used to work as an integration assistant. But when the humanitarian crisis started at the Polish-Belarusian border in summertime 2021, it was somehow natural, obvious for me that I should come here and to check what's going on and how I can be useful here. August 2021, it was also the beginning of Grupa Granica, which is an informal group. It's an umbrella. And under this umbrella, there are pretty many civil society organizations which used to be previously involved in supporting refugees and migrants, but also other NGOs not connected previously with this area. There are also a lot of independent volunteers who joined the movement since the beginning, who came naturally also because they wanted to help. These are usually people who used to be involved in other activisms previously, like LGBT, like feminine, like ecological, etc. And last but not least, there are local inhabitants living here in the border area who are engaged since the beginning, even before the organizations or other people in Poland knew about what's happening here, because they live here, so they could observe what's happening. They could observe before us this movement of people who came here to seek for international protection, for safety. And they could observe how they were treated by the border guards who started to stop them and to push them back without letting them applying for asylum. Actually, we were informed by local inhabitants since the beginning about what was going on here. So that's how Grupa Granica emerged totally naturally from the engagement of people of very different origins. And we keep working together till nowadays because this crisis hasn't stopped. We still have people in the forests who need our help and who are very brutally pushed back by Polish border guards to Belarus.
Yeah, the situation is really crazy. It sounds like it's a really bad situation, and we'll talk about that in a second. Thanks for that background, Aleksandra. That was really, really interesting. We've had someone from Grupa Granica on the podcast before. That was episode 64 last year, almost a year ago. So it's good to get you back on to talk about the situation in Poland. So maybe, Aleksandra, you could start first and can you tell us kind of like what's happening at the border? What kind of situations do you find people in? I think it was 2022 when Russia invaded Ukraine, and Belarus, who's your neighbor, and I think Ukraine is also neighboring Poland. Belarus started to tell people in other countries that they can come to Belarus, come to Russia, and you can get to Europe. And then they started pushing people to Poland, and it's a really crazy situation. And the European Union and Poland, it sounds like, behaved in a terrible way by saying this is a war. It's just really awful. I don't know, maybe Aleksandra, you could tell us about that first.
Yeah, so this is true that this migration route was artificially created by Lukashenko and probably Putin as well. But what is really important is that it's quite obvious for us, for people working with migrants and asylum seekers, that if a migration route is once open, it doesn't close, especially that if you compare the conditions here, of course it's dangerous because we have a primeval forest at the Polish-Belarusian border. It's sometimes very swampy area with a lot of very old fallen trees. It's difficult to get through, and there are people dying here. But if you compare to the Mediterranean, for example, this migration route is much less dangerous than the others. So it's quite obvious that even if it was artificially opened, then people, if they have choice, they will choose the path which is less dangerous for them. Nevertheless, the politicians, they decided to build the wall on the Polish-Belarusian border. We didn't have a wall here previously. They decided to build the wall. They keep ameliorating this wall. They add all kind of the electronic devices, cameras, movement sensors. We have more and more drones, helicopters patrolling the area. And they keep persuading the citizens that this will prevent these people from coming, and that these actions will stop the crisis. It's not happening. It's not true, because these people coming here are not people who have a choice. These are mainly people who need to flee their countries of origin because of either the wars or personal persecutions, because of the authoritarian regimes or because of the social group they belong to. We are talking mainly about people from Afghanistan, Ethiopia, Eritrea, Sudan, Somalia. These are countries people keep running away from, and maybe the only choice they have is the migration route. So the situation nowadays is really very difficult because a couple of months ago, by the end of March, Polish government decided to suspend the right to apply for international protection at the border with Belarus. Of course, this right was already suspended in practice previously. Yes, this is the core of this humanitarian crisis. We have people coming here, they want to apply for international protection, but the border guards, they catch them, and they are not interested about their motivations. They just push them back to Belarus. But it was clear previously that it was in breach with the Polish constitution and with international law guaranteeing access to asylum procedure, the access to the territory. And when we were there, people who provide humanitarian help, we could somehow help these people if we were witnesses of this situation, if we had enough time to explain these people the situation and to sign with them the power of attorney for us to represent them in the asylum procedure. And if in our presence these people declared to the border guards that they want to apply for international protection, in some of the cases we were effective in preventing them from being pushed back. And this is not possible anymore. And of course, again, this law suspending the right to apply for international protection, this law also was introduced to the Polish legislation in breach of Polish constitution and international law, but it serves the border guards as a good argument not to receive the asylum requests in any case. So actually all those people we were able to help previously, we can't really help them to access any administrative procedures in Poland, or at least asylum procedure. Yeah, we can help them in accessing the return procedure, which is not the perfect solution for them. Sometimes people we meet, if they are in a very bad health condition and they need to go to hospital, or they just ask us to do anything possible for them to stay here. The only legal tool we have is to apply to the European Court for Human Rights for the interim measure decision. And then within a couple of hours, but usually within a day or two, we receive such an interim measure decision from the European Court for Human Rights. So with this decision, people are not pushed back anymore to Belarus, but still the border guards, they refuse to receive the asylum requests because they say that this right was suspended at the border with Belarus. So the alternative they have is to open the return procedure. They apply to the court to place such people in detention centers. And there people, they wait for the return decision. They have possibility to apply for international protection in detention centers, which are not located at the border with Belarus. So they normally could apply for international protection, and this was happening till a couple of weeks ago. But since I don't remember exactly, maybe end August, maybe beginning September, we start observing that the border guards in the detention centers, they make it more and more difficult for people to apply for international protection. It seems that they have like new instructions. We are trying to figure it out right now, but it seems that they have new instructions that actually everybody who crossed the border with Belarus can't be received as an asylum seeker, which makes this new legislation even more crazy than previously. Because actually, if we ask ourselves a question, what does it mean, the border with Belarus? It turns out that these people who come here, they have this border inside them. And it's quite crazy. And we are talking about a so-called democratic country in the European Union. Yeah, so. Yes, so it's getting worse and worse, and we observe more and more violence people are subject to, not only on the Belarusian side, but also on the Polish territory. So yes, I will end up here for the moment. So.
That was a really good answer, Aleksandra. That was great. I like that phrase, they have the border inside them. It's really terrible situation, really crazy. I don't know, Ola, if there's anything you wanted to add to that, but also I wonder, in the UK, we have people crossing from the channel, and our media is constantly focusing on the people that cross the channel, and it often doesn't think of them as humans, I think, particularly in the right-wing media. Do you have that similar sort of focus in Poland on there's people crossing the border? Like, I guess it's quite similar to, we have the small boats, oh my God. I don't know, maybe you could talk about that, Ola.
I think the focus now it's even stronger because I'm not sure how it is popular in the rest of the Europe, but Poland is preparing for war. And the war narration is like extremely high right now, and everything what the current government is doing on the border, they explain it as a preparation for the war. And I also heard that they don't really call people on the move as a people. They are calling them like walking weapon of Putin and Lukashenko. So, this is this kind of narration showing that we need to do everything what is needed to protect our border because the war is coming. And then the life of other people is not really important. It's not as important as our Polish lives.
Yeah, that's really grim. That's really sad. And I completely forgot about that. It's a separate subject to this podcast, but Russia's had come into Polish drones have come in it or near it, your airspace. Yeah, that's crazy. I didn't realize that you were Poland is talking so much about being on a war footing, and that must be pretty scary. So how does when you find someone in the forest crossing, what kind of things do you do? I don't know if you've been there or your group Szpila has been involved in actually helping people in the group, but maybe you can tell us a bit about how, if you find someone, what kind of things you do. And I mean, it sounds like it's much more difficult now.
I'm not the best person to talking about that because my job is just being on the phone and facilitate, being with the people by phone in the forest. So I think maybe second Ola, so Aleksandra can tell you more about it.
Okay, I'll try to be very short right now. So when we receive a request for help, we have a helpline So we usually know about where people are and what are their individual needs. We pack big backpacks with food, water, power banks, clothes, shoes, sometimes sleeping bags, dependently from the weather conditions. And we go to the location sent by people who are in the forest. And of course, we have to be as invisible and as quiet as possible, not to bring border guards behind us. We also have to avoid any random people to see us, because we never know whether those who see us would be those who normally would help, or rather call the police or border guards to report. Yeah? Um, when we reach people, we check how they feel. If they are in bad medical condition, we also have paramedics we can contact and who can join us. And because of this suspension of the right to apply for international protection, we can't really help them as we used previously with the access to the asylum procedure. So actually our help is limited to the basic humanitarian help. Yes, we can feed them, we can provide them with dry clothes and shoes, and then actually we have to leave them in the forest. Yeah, this is something that is, I know that sometimes it's difficult to imagine for people who are not familiar with this kind of activities, or even for those who work on other borders, helping migrants on other borders, on other migration routes, that there are no shelters. Yeah, there are no places we can take these people to. Yeah, we just have to provide them with this basic help in the forest, and we have to leave them there. Yeah, because any contact with the system will be a huge risk for these people of being back. When the border guards find them, they will push them back immediately with no mercy. So yes, if it's in safe enough place, we try, of course, to talk to these people, to find out a little bit about what happened to them. This is also quite an important part of our work, to collect testimonies. So if people feel safe enough and confident enough with us, we ask them about what they experienced at this border. We ask them about their experience of violence on both sides of the border. We ask them about their conditions, and then we try to report about that to We Are Monitoring organization. You probably heard about that. Yes, so the We Are Monitoring Association, they quite regularly publish very informative reports about what's happening at this border. So I highly recommend to read them for all those who are interested more in details. So actually the situation right now, as for the help we provide, is really different from what we were used to do until March this year, and actually very different to what Bartek, one of our volunteers who is facing right now the accusations and the trial, was doing while providing humanitarian help in the forest. Yeah. So when Bartek met the group of people who needed help in October 2024, all three guys he met asked him to help them to apply for international protection. They already had the experience of pushbacks behind them. They knew that if they approach the border guards by them own, it won't help. So they asked Bartek to assist them while applying for international protection. And this is what Bartek did. He explained in details how the procedure looks like, what are the risks. He explained that he cannot guarantee that his help will be efficient, because it used to happen also that even though we were there to assist people, the border guards were pushing them back afterwards. Our presence used to reduce the risk of the pushback, but it couldn't guarantee safety. So having all detailed information, the three guys accepted. And they insisted that they wanted to apply for international protection. So Bartek called the border guards, a patrol came, and in Bartek's presence, the three guys declared the will to apply for international protection. And they were taken to the border guards office. Bartek, as a representative, wanted to assist in the proceedings. And he was told by a border guard over the phone that it's late right now, that they will have the interpreter the next day. So they invite him at 10 a.m. the next day, and then he will be able to assist at the moment of receiving the international protection request. And when he came another day, it turned out there were other border guards, not the same person he spoke the previous evening. So the border guards who came out, they told him that actually two guys who were from Ethiopia or Eritrea, I can't remember anymore, that they've already received their international protection requests and they sent them to another border guards office. But the Somali guy, he withdrew his will to apply for international protection, and he withdrew his will that Bartek represents him. And they ordered Bartek to leave the building. And Bartek said that, okay, if a Somali guy withdrew the will to apply for international protection and his power of attorney, then it's fine. He will accept it, but he wants to hear it from him. So he asked for a meeting with his client, and the border guard said that no, they refuse. He's not his client anymore, and that he has to immediately leave the building. And Bartek just decided to fight for his client's rights, because it's the right of the person who gave the power of attorney. It's also the right to the representative to have this contact. And this is what he was insisting on. And then the border guard said that if he doesn't leave the building immediately, they will use the coercive measures. That's how it's called. And they started to push Bartek to use force to force him to leave, because Bartek declared that he's not going to leave before he finds out what's happening with his client. And at that moment, Bartek just said, he used a bad word in Polish. It wasn't the worst word possible, but yes, it's true. He used a bad word, and then he said that you are breaking the law and you will face consequences. And that was the reason for the border guard and for the public prosecutor to accuse him. But maybe I will leave this part for Ola to talk more in details about. Okay?
Yes, please, Ola.
Yeah, so the final accusations are that he tried to force border guard officers to accept an application for international protection, using some kind of threats. And in Polish law, the consequences might be up to 3 years in prison for this kind of accusations. So we were kind of lucky because the trial started very fast. I mean, this trial started only 6 months after this moment. So usually in Poland, it doesn't like this. Like the other activists waited like 3 years for their trial. So this time it was super fast. But during this trial, we saw immediately that the prosecutor has nothing against Bartek in the end. And all this story is just absurd. During the trial, like we were listening to the testimonies of border guard officers, and both judge and the defenders were asking them, like, what kind of threats you listen, like what kind of threats he used against you. And they were saying, like, he said he will inform the media and he will inform the ombudsman about the situation. And then, like, everybody was so, like, surprised, because that was the first time actually we learned what he is accused of. And that was like a really ridiculous situation, because how it's possible that any kind of authorities, any kind of service in Poland, especially if they are talking a lot about that they are just following the rules, they don't do anything wrong, but they are so afraid of media attention and information given to ombudsman, which is just the office created to kind of checking if the officers are following the rules or not. And the last hearing was also kind of surprising for us, because during the final speech of the prosecutor, we actually heard first time also that the prosecutor is thinking about changing the charges. So I suppose the prosecutor office also decided that, okay, I have nothing against him. So they now try to charge him not for the crime, but for the misdemeanor case. And they ask just for some fine. So we see that this case is another example just to criminalize solidarity with people on the move. And since the very beginning has been created to, create this chill effect, because negative sentence in this precise case would mean that anybody who tries to be official representative of person on the move can face some consequences only because we do what we are supposed to do. So we are fighting for our clients' rights.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like the trying to accuse him of being threatening this, but was there two border guards and he was there by himself, and then he says, I'm going to tell the media, I'm going to tell the ombudsman. That can't be a threat, right? If you said to someone, let me talk to your boss, if you're I would never do this, but you're in a restaurant and you complain about the food, you say, let me talk to your boss. It's not a threat, right? It's so crazy.
Yes, also they change actually everything what happened there, because the only thing he was talking about was, I want to see my client, or I want to see any document as evidence that he withdrew his application. That's all what I want. And then change it into that he was trying to force them to accept the application for international protection. And there was exactly nothing about this application.
Yeah, that is crazy. Do you know, is this like is this quite common? I get like the border guards say, oh yeah, they withdrew, they don't want to stay here anymore, but they have no proof. Has that happened a few times before?
Oh, it happens like a lot of times, because there are two different actions that officer can take against you, and one is official interrogation, and the second is just questioning. And interrogation has to finish with a protocol, but the questioning not. So very often they start with questioning people and they try to protect, to be nice, and okay, I will give you some tea, coffee, cigarette, and just have a talk. And then they ask random questions, and even like, do you have family in Germany? And then they don't even ask if the person wants to go to the Germany. They're only asking about do you have family in Germany? And the simple answer, yes, they write down and they say, okay, this person doesn't want to stay in Poland, this person wants to go to Germany, and this is the reason to actually push this person back to Belarus, because this person doesn't want to apply for asylum in Poland. So they use it a lot every single day.
Yeah, that's terrible. I mean, and then I guess if it was the police and you were being questioned by the police, you'd have a right to have a lawyer with you, right? And I guess these people are not given that right at all, especially not in Bartek's client's case.
It's extremely complicated. I mean, they have right, but they know only about our structure. So maybe they have contact with their official representative, but then they believe that this person will come and the border guard will contact this person and invite for any kind of activities, right, to the facility. They don't know how the procedures looks like. And they are tired. They are extremely tired. They just need some help and they are ready for anything. So for them, even it's hard to follow what's going on. And very often the border guard just put some piece of paper on the table in the language they don't understand. Later, they will say that, of course, it was translated, or there was a translator in the room or interpreter, but we have no tools to even check that.
Yeah, that's terrible. And so Bartek had his final, as far as I understand, his final hearing on last week. I think as we're recording, it was last week. Um, so what's going to happen now? Do you know? Can you tell us what's going to happen next?
So this week, also on Friday, there will be the last hearing with the verdict. Because like everything is already closed, we are after the final speeches, and now we are just waiting for the verdict. I think we are kind of positive about this case. I mean, that was the second time when prosecutor did everything what they could do to just not do the work in the good way. I mean, to fail it. So we believe that the verdict will be positive for us, but of course we cannot say before the Friday. And of course, it's possible that even if the verdict will be positive for us, the prosecutors still can complain. So maybe we will meet again in court.
Yeah, I guess it could go on and on and on. And do you think, it seems to me, like, I don't know the outcome of the case. But do you think it's had, like, there's a lot of these kind of cases happening in Europe to people on the move themselves or to people acting in solidarity? And it seems to me like the hope is to have a chilling effect. So far, I don't know, maybe Aleksandra or Ola, you could answer this, but do you think it's working? Have you seen people like trying to back away because of everything that's happening now? Maybe Aleksandra, you could take that one first.
Well, it's hard to say. I think that people react in different way. So there are many people for whom it's even more important to continue acting after such things are happening, because it's important for us. I mean, we show each other a lot of solidarity, and I think this is the crucial thing. Yeah. So all of us who are engaged, we know that we won't be left alone if something like that happens to us. And this gives you a lot of power and positive energy. Yeah. And in addition to that, it makes us angry, this reaction of the government, of the politicians, of the forces. And for many of us, it's really important to show them that, no, you're not going to win with us like that. It's too stupid. It's too unnecessary. It just won't work like that. Yeah. So on one hand, you have this sort of reaction. Yeah. But on the other hand, it is tiring. Yeah. I mean, even though we know that they have nothing against us, that we are right, yeah, from all kind of perspectives, from the legal perspective, from human perspective, like moral perspective, yeah, we are absolutely right. We are doing the only right thing which can be done, yeah. But with this trial, or with the trial of the five, yeah, which was. The first instance at least was finished 2 weeks ago, yeah, and they were found not guilty. But their trial lasted for 3.5 years, yeah, and you have people who actually don't know how it will end up. Yeah, you have people who have to appear first at the public prosecutor's office, then in the court. You have all people who want to support them, who are with them, who accompany them. There are a lot of very difficult emotions. There are a lot of very difficult thoughts, yeah, fears, etc. It is tiring, yeah. So for some people it will be somehow encouraging, but for the others it will be more tiring and intimidating, yeah, than encouraging. So yeah, during these last years we've observed that some people not being able to continue their engagement, yeah. And one of the reasons might be this risk of being accused, of being persecuted. So yes, you have both reactions, and I can't really say which one is most popular. But probably if it wasn't effective at all, it wouldn't be practiced by the government. I don't know, Ola, what's your opinion about that?
I mean, thank you for this question, actually, because also this is the main topic of our new report that we published at the beginning of this month. It's a full report about criminalization of solidarity on Polish-Belarusian border. And in this report, we actually described two kinds of strategies of repression used on Polish-Belarusian border. And one of them, of course, was this show trial, which aim is just to show volunteers in the very bad light and trying to limit also not only raising the conflict inside the structure to show those people are actually supporting smugglers or they're breaking law, they're criminals, but also break solidarity between volunteers and the rest of the society. And I suppose in this both cases, it didn't work. This strategy didn't work, and we have huge support from other people. But there is also a second strategy used at the very beginning of the crisis, which was focused on making people tired and exhausted because of the number of cases, the small cases, like misdemeanor cases they had. Because at the very beginning, we were facing mostly fines, really huge fines, but like a lot of them. And people had a choice to like accept them or not. And we as a legal team proposed them the strategy of not accepting the fines and then go to the court. But nobody can accept going to the court every like 2 months for 2 years, because usually these cases take so long. But only last year we won around 18 cases like this, so it's total number of 42 people. So also you can see the scale. But even though like it looked like a ping pong game between us as a legal team and authorities, because at the beginning they were putting fines on people about being in the no-go zone, and we started to win these cases, so they changed the accusations. Okay, so if not the zone, so we will delegalize throwing food and medicines and clothes over the wall. So even like this very simple act of supporting people who cannot cross the wall, but people wanted to just give any basic help to them. So that started to be criminalized also as a fine. And we like started this game again, and after a year we won several cases. So the authorities decided, okay, maybe fines doesn't work at all. So for now we have only few cases like this. So we can see also that it's a constant game between the authorities and the different attempts to criminalize solidarity. So we won one game, now maybe we are winning the second, and we are waiting what would be the third chapter, but we are afraid because all of the signs shows that authorities try to kind of connect volunteers with smugglers, and there is at least one really huge investigation who tries to put us together in this huge case. And we don't know how it will be finished and when it will start openly. We just know about some accusations and some investigations, but we will see in the future. But also this is our way to show to the rest of the Europe, show to the rest of the world that at some point maybe we will need even higher support, because we know that something is going on. We just don't know when our government will try to use this card against us.
Yeah, that's pretty scary. Like at first, I don't, in the US, Donald Trump and also Hungary now is talking about trying to make Antifa, like make that a terrorist organization. And initially I thought it was stupid, but now it's really quite scary, because you can label that at anyone. Anyone can be, that person's Antifa, then you're under investigation for terrorism. And it makes me worried that this going to come along to people acting in solidarity with migrants, I think, in the future. But that is quite scary. Can you, Aleksandra, you mentioned, but maybe Ola, you can tell us about, I'm going to try and pronounce this, the Hanukkah 5. maybe you can say it, and then I don't have to say it ever again. Can you tell us about this case? Because both of you just mentioned them, I think, and I'm not one. Can you tell us about that trial and their case?
Yeah, it's Hajnówka 5, or to make it more simple, the case of 5. So the story started in March 2022 when Border Guard stopped 2 cars with 4 volunteers, Kurdish family of 9 people, so 2 parents and 7 kids, and the Egyptian man, yes. And at the very beginning, they were charged with supporting organizing illegal border crossing because since the very beginning, it was so risky to take people to the cars. Even if you go to the hospital or you want to take them from the forest to the closest city, many people who wanted to do something like this end up with this kind of charges of organizing illegal border crossing. And that also happened to the 4. At the beginning, it was 4. But when they were at the border guard facility, police also raided the house of one person who is Podlasie, so this region citizen. And at the very beginning, she was, in this case, as a witness. But in the end, after 2.5 years of investigation, prosecutor added her to the case, saying that she was responsible for kind of facilitating all this process. She provided food, clothes, information about procedures and shelters. And that was enough to put her charges of also like... Then the charges changed also because the story is so complicated. It's like, you know, the soap opera and every season has something else. So when prosecutor added this 5th person, they also changed the accusation for all of them from organizing illegal border crossing to facilitation of stay for people who illegally cross the border. But the fact is that this charge... Actually, these accusations comes from the European Union Facilitation Directive. And this directive was supposed to protect humanitarian workers, but it opens the door for like different kinds of understanding this rule. So our government decided that because of this rule, we will have this new article that facilitation of stay will be criminalized up to 5 years in prison. But only if the person who is giving help or somebody close to this person has any kind of material or personal gain. But the prosecutor office in Poland changed also interpretation of this, that it doesn't matter if you as a volunteers didn't have any gain, but the refugees got personal gain because you helped them. So they survived, they are alive. So this is a personal gain. So somebody got some gain, and that's why we can criminalize it and we can put charges on you. So as you can hear, like it sounds so absurd. And if the verdict would be positive for a prosecutor, that would mean that basically whole humanitarian aid is illegal in Poland anymore. Because every time when you provide help, the person gets some gain, right? So yeah, as I said, the whole situation started in 2022, but the trial started in 2025. Until the very end, we were not sure what would be the final accusations because prosecutor office changed them all, like also during the trial. So the prosecutor wanted to come back to the first accusations of organizing illegal border crossing, but actually, it was the best example how the trial can be a spectacle because the prosecutor was coming to the room, putting like in this very movie theatrical style, like putting like 5 centimeters fat files on the desk saying, we have some spicy information that they were involved in the smuggling structures. And then she was not able to prove if anything inside these files has anything in common with anybody from the 5, you know. But all of this was just for the media attention. And in the end, like we also heard the verdict this month, and the judge found them not guilty. So it was like a huge relief for all of us because like so many people were waiting for this verdict. Only just to hear if the humanitarian aid in Poland is illegal or not.
So they were driving these the five were involved in these people. Where were they driving them to? Like the people that they were found with.
According to the testimonies from one of these refugees, he was saying like we were supposed to be like in the car for next like maximum 40 kilometers. That was his words, like the head of the family. So, it was just taking somebody from the border, and also in these accusations, you can see that they were taking them inside the country. Like, come on, we are on the border. There is no other way. Like, if you want to take somebody from the forest to some safe space, there is no way. You need to go into the country. Even if it's like 15 kilometers, 40 kilometers.
Yeah, that's crazy. And like, I've heard in particularly in like Bosnia and Croatia and down there in southern Europe that people you can't, and Aleksandra kind of touched on this as well, like if you were to find a person on the move in trouble and you took them to the hospital, you could be charged for smuggling, right? That it's just insane. That's so crazy to me, that we've become this society. Yeah, well, thanks. That was a really good answer there, Ola. Thanks for telling us about that case. It's really good. And the report you mentioned, I think I've got it. I think Aleksandra sent it to me, actually. It's available in English, isn't it?
Yes, it is. You can find it on our website.
Great. I will put links so people listening can find that on their phones or the website, and they'll be able to find that. Great. So I would like to move to the final few questions of the podcast. So I don't know, Aleksandra or Ola, if there was anything else you wanted to add about this case, the five, or Poland in general, before we move to the last questions. All good? Cool. So my last question is, I kind of touched on it. I feel quite nervous about the future. I feel like, particularly in Europe and the United States, are moving in a very scary direction. So I wondered what you thought about the future. And I don't know, maybe you can provide some optimism, or maybe not. I don't just mean the future in general. I mean the future in terms of people on the move and solidarity with people on the move. I don't know who would like to go first about that question.
Maybe you, Aleksandra.
Yeah, okay. Thank you. The problem is that I'm not very optimistic, unfortunately, after the recent developments of situation. Yeah, and it's not only Poland, it's the whole Europe, this fortress Europe, which is more and more inaccessible. So yes, I think that, well, one thing is clear. People on the move will keep trying to come because they have no other choice. And the best solution would be for the whole Europe, for different countries and for the whole Europe, to organize safe and legal paths to Europe. So I'm talking about the long-term wise migration and integration policy. Yeah. So to create the safe paths for people who just have to come, and then to think together about the efficient integration programs. Yeah. This would be something guaranteeing safety for everybody, for those who are coming and for the hosting societies. But I'm afraid that this won't happen. I mean, I'm pretty much sure that this won't happen. Yeah, because threatening people living in Europe with migrants, this is a very efficient political fuel for the subsequent governments of the majority of countries. Yeah, this is very short-term perspective, but it works. Yeah, so it's much easier for the politicians during their election campaigns, and I think that they have all the time their election campaigns to use this I forgot the term. Yeah, but this strategy of frightening citizens with with an invented danger, yeah, because they create a danger. They create a danger, and they say, yes, we are in a very difficult situation, but don't worry, we know the solution. We have the tools to protect you. You just need to vote for us. Yeah? And it works. Yes, that's why we observe the far right politicians gaining more and more votes and support. That's why we observe more and more racist, xenophobic, not only narrative but also behaviors in the public life. And that's why, even though if you look at the situation all over the world, you can see that none of the walls built at any border is efficient to prevent people from crossing, because desperate people who just can't stay in their countries of origin, they have to move to live. Sooner or later, they will find the way to cross these borders, but the price is much bigger. All kind of prices, actually. Yeah, I mean about the smuggling business. Yeah, our politicians, they like to say, oh, the smugglers, they are guilty of everything. Yeah, we have to separate smugglers from migrants, but actually, it's the policy. It's their policy which makes it possible for the smuggling business to develop. Yeah, if we did create the legal paths to Europe, if we did observe the law and the administrative procedures we have in our legislations, the smugglers wouldn't be necessary. Yeah, and right now, if we refuse people on the move all their basic rights, if we refuse them access to the territory, if we refuse them access to asylum procedure, we feed smugglers. Yeah, so these people, they will appear here anyway, but they will be in. Well, more people will die. People who come here, they will be in more poor health, psychological conditions. So it will take much more time for them to integrate afterwards, and then they will also come here much more disappointed. Yeah. Well, this is actually something which is, I think, the most difficult for me when I meet people here in the forest while providing them humanitarian help, and the questions they ask about what's happening with Europe. They say that, well, we are running away from the authoritarian regimes, we are running away from the unimaginable violence we are subject to, and when we cross the border with Poland, we think that it's the end of our
journey.
Yes, it's the end of our journey. It's the end of our sufferance. You say when they suffer. It's the end of our bad experience, because we are in Europe. We are on the continent of human rights. We are on the continent of the rule of law, and then they quite quickly realize that it's not true. Yeah, that the law is not observed, that their basic human rights are violated, and that they have to struggle sometimes from the same risks and dangers they face in their countries of origin. Yes, here in the border area. So this is very sad, and I'm afraid that it will continue like this. That I can't see right now that it might be better, and I'm afraid it might be even worse. That we are crossing the subsequent.
Oh, hi. Hey, we're back. I don't know what happened. Maybe there's a time limit on here. I don't know.
Hello.
Hi.
Yes,
I don't know what happened. It just cut. And Aleksandra was saying something about subsequent governments, I think.
But probably it was the end. Probably it was that the subsequent government are using this migration argument as a fuel in their this anti-migration narrative in their political campaigns, and only in their very short-term political interest. Yeah, so I can't really see. I can't really see that migration, that the situation of people on the move can be better in the coming days, because it's not in these short-term political interests. So yeah, and then I'm really sorry for this pessimistic conclusion, but that's how I recently feel from this forest perspective, where I meet people asking for humanitarian help.
No, that's okay. Pessimism is okay. We can use it as a fuel for to continue organising, I think. Thanks, Aleksandra. How about you, Ola? How are you feeling about the future of all this?
I mean, I think that I totally understand this not optimistic point of view on political level, but for me right now the most important is this social level, and I am much more optimistic about that, because last 4 years on the border teach me a lot, and I got a lot of inspiration from the local community we met there and the cooperation we started there, and especially that you need to understand that the whole solidarity structure is based on people from really different backgrounds. So we have local community, we have smaller and bigger NGOs, we have anarchists, we have just people who felt they had to come there and do anything. So this is a huge mix of people, and we somehow learn how to work together. We learned a lot from each other, and I'm really sure that the border situation would not look the way as it looks like right now without any of those groups, and it's really amazing. And for me it was so heartwarming that we as activists could learn something from local community, and local community could learn something from us. And sometimes it was how to walk in the forest, and sometimes it was about the basics of security culture. And that teaches me that we as a society can find the ways how to cooperate, and it doesn't matter if you are leftist, anarchist, or even on the right, because we all together work for something bigger. And in times of crisis, we really know how to do it. And I believe that even if our government will do so stupid things and militarize the area and preparing us for war nobody wants, we will somehow find a way how to be a good society in all the situation.
I like that. That's some nice optimism there, Ola. I like that answer. Thanks very much. Okay, so this has been a really great interview. Thank you both for coming on and talking to us. I think I can get this episode out before Friday, and then maybe we could have a very small update about the situation. But yeah, let's talk about that after the recording. But so Ola and Aleksandra, thank you so much. That was a really great interview. Thank you very much.
Thank you for having us.
Okay, that was episode 78 of the Civil Fleet podcast. Thank you very, very much for listening. Thanks again to Ola and Aleksandra for coming on the Civil Fleet. Thanks to Grupa Granica and Szpila for doing the amazing stuff that they do in Poland and for telling the world about it. Do be sure to check out the show notes in this episode for links to their groups, their organisations, and to the various reports and things we've mentioned in this episode. Okay, we've got a bunch of episodes coming out in the next few days, so keep an eye on your podcast feeds. I've been interviewing like crazy. So, at the end of the podcast, I'd like to remind you to check out thecivilfleet.com. If you go there, you can find investigative reports, interviews, news stories, and all kinds of stuff. So go to civilfleet.com for that. But also, if you like what we're doing, there's a few ways you can help us to continue to platform these awesome people that we have on here. You can share us around, tell your friends about us. 2, you can write us a review on podcast apps. and things like that would be very helpful. Or 3, you can make a small donation to the Civil Fleet to help us to keep the lights on, as it were. If you want to do that, you can go to ko-fi.com/civilfleet. You can make a small donation or a one-off. You can make a one-off donation, or you can sign up for a monthly thing if you like. Okay, that's it. Be ready for another episode very, very soon. Cheers.